It has been a huge week for retail, starting with retail sales for July blowing past estimates to rise 0.7% on a monthly basis, showing that the consumer is still strong. Then we had earnings galore. Home Depot, Target continuing to struggle in sales growth as consumers traded down. Meanwhile, Walmart and TJX excelled as they captured those cautious shoppers. Apparently that's hard to say. Cautious shoppers looking for deals. Joining us now with more on this week in retail is Jordyn Holman, New York Times retail reporter. And you wrote about Target, among other things, this week and how they were not necessarily participating here, Jordyn. One of the themes we've been talking about this morning is sort of the selectiveness, the discretion that shoppers are exercising right now, because it's not that they're not spending. It's just they're only buying certain stuff. So how are you sort of thinking about the bigger themes here?
Yes, I think it's part of this longer trend that we've been seeing over the past year, I would say, about people are buying groceries, they're trading down, meaning they're buying private label if they're buying groceries or apparel. And when you look at a store like Target and you compare it with Walmart just has a bigger leg up because they sell more groceries than a Target does. And then they do have lower price points relative to a Target. And so that's kind of that discerning nature. And even Walmart's CEO yesterday on a call with investors used that word. Customers are being discerning, and that's why Walmart is winning right now in this environment.
I mean, we're looking at some of these shoppers with a household income of about $100,000, really honing in on Walmart here, especially when it comes to groceries. What's Walmart going to do to have to hang on to some of these shoppers, and how key are they to the bottom line?
I thought that was actually a really interesting point that Doug McMillon, Walmart CEO, made yesterday on the call. He said these higher income shoppers are coming into Walmart because they also are trying to save money where they can, and that is through grocery. But once they have them in the store, that opens up an opportunity to maybe sell them more discretionary items. Maybe you're selling them the clothes or an interesting like cooking supplies or whatnot. And so that's one strategy that they're using to bring them in. And then also, given that this is a back to school season, that's a crucial selling holiday that sets them up for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas to keep them coming back for that even more crucial selling season.
Jordyn, we continue to talk about and hear from actually many of the executives who are trying to lean into cultural relevance in order to grow out the client base, the customer base that they're able to welcome into their stores and able to perhaps create a deeper relationship with. But then issues on the other side when they waver on their stances. And that was the issue for Target. How much did they shoot themselves in the foot this quarter?
Yes, as I'm sure we all remember, back during Pride Month, actually just a few days before June, Target was at the center of a boycott, anti-LGBTQ boycott, given their Pride merchandise, where Target moved a lot of the merchandise to the back of the store. And that issue came up again in their earnings, noting that in June they did take a sales hit because in addition to the consumer pullback, there was obviously consumers who said, I'm not shopping with Target. The CEO got a lot of questions on the call about that. Where does Target stand when they want to, support a specific community? And Target said, hey, we want to be welcoming to all people. We learned from that, and we don't quite know what that will mean of how that shows up at Target. But I think what was clear is that cultural issue came up in a financial call. So it's all intertwined, and it's just putting a fine point on the idea that culture and sales and retail are all connected.
And Jordyn, I want to talk about some of the discernment that we've seen on goods spending. Meanwhile, people are willing to risk it all to get their outfits together for Beyonce, for Taylor Swift, for Barbie as well. How much of this is going to be a blip? Being that you have these huge tours that people are spending on and really getting dressed up and spending on goods, how much of an anomaly is this, though?
Yeah, I was talking to our analysts about this yesterday. There is this idea going into the year that people would just pull back on spending a lot on goods. and that it would just be a summer and a year of experiences and the concerts and the movies. But there's a lot more dynamics at play. Yes, people have been spending a lot on those experiences as expected, but they're still leaving space in their budget to buy the groceries or buy some of the bigger items that we weren't expecting. And I think it still remains to be seen how long that can last, because we all do have a finite amount of money. But that is definitely one of these really interesting dynamics that's happened this summer.
What's the setup for the holiday season now, coming off of what we've kind of started to get some insight into, the back to school season, and then even further as we perhaps all get ready to dress like Barbie and Ken all over again once we hit Halloween?
Yes. So retailers are planning conservatively still for the back half of this year because student loan repayments have to start again. Interest rates are still high. Inflation is still stubborn. So we're not out of the clear yet. But when going back to Walmart, for them, they're like, well, that's actually, we play well in that people are already looking to save money. They'll come to us for all of those things. But a company like Home Depot, Walgreens, Target, they all said that they're planning more conservatively for the holiday season. And it will be a nice surprise if that is a strong one.
Certainly that consumer hanging in there, at least for now. A big thank you to Jordyn Holman, New York Times retail reporter. Thank you for joining us today.